Jade Cargill defends the TBS championship against Taya Valkyrie. And Jade had a hell of an entrance here with a big boss vet. Are you familiar with her?
I'm not familiar. Yeah. Taya had a pretty big entrance too.
Yeah, she came out with two dancers. It's kind of like where you come out and then she was dwarfed, I thought, by Jade Cargill's entrance, which was
Oh,
the
yeah.
more elaborate one. But nonetheless, yeah, they came up with like non-normal entrances for these two. And she performed Pretty Girls Walk. And were they explaining that like the women on the ramp were her sorority sisters?
Yeah, they're members of AKA sorority, which like has some sort of long-standing history as like a like an African American sorority or something to that effect, of which Jade Cargill was a member previously. So they explained
This
that.
was a really cool entrance for Jade Cargill, I thought. And they showed her husband, former Major League Baseball player Brandon Phillips, with their daughter. And Taya immediately goes to Road to Valhalla, and it's avoided. And Taya takes out Mark Sterling with a high cross, and then Layla Gray gets involved, not in a very convincing fashion with Taya. It kind of felt like just things stood still as Jade finally sent Taya to the floor off the apron. She hits a series of ripcord clotheslines and applies a sleeper onto Taya, which is then broken up by a blue thunder bomb. And then Jade goes for a springboard, and it's caught with a lung blower, or at least close to the lungs.
Attempted.
She was trying to, yes. Taya gets a near fall and then hits Road to Valhalla, and this got a big reaction when Jade kicked out of it. It was not the most authoritative kick out, but I don't know how many near fall spots Jade has done that have been like believable ones.
Might have been the biggest one.
I think it was definitely the biggest one. It's like she's done a few like roll up spots, but nothing like this. And Jade then just, unfortunately, like the camera, it was a very bad looking kick to the jaw that it was just at the angle that you saw. It was like really off, which set up Jaded, and she pinned her in 8:44, improving to 60-0. So the audience certainly responded to like Road to Valhalla. I didn't think this was like the best match. It was better than the last one that they had where Taya couldn't use the Road to Valhalla, which is the whole kind of purpose of this program, and gave you the near fall here.
Yeah, I thought this was a better match than that. I thought the big success of the match is the fact that they managed to achieve like a really good near fall. And I think that's something they can, hang their hat on. Overall, I kind of felt the match was okay. I thought Jade looked good for her abilities, but is this a good match compared to the rest of the show, which is what I was looking for by this point from Jade?
No, this was on the lower end.
On the lower end. But I didn't think Taya looked that great either, to be honest with you.
There was, like the involvement with like Layla Gray. I thought it was this very weird spot where she was getting involved from the floor, and it was, I certainly feel these two could have a better match together, and I think it was just a case of like some timing that was off, especially with that bad looking kick at the end. But Jade's night was not over, because Sterling says that she will defend the title anytime, any place, but there's no one left. And then Kris Statlander returns to a thunderous reaction. And this crowd, this was not the biggest reaction on the show, but this was among them. It was a genuine surprise, unless you listen to Wai Ting's previews and prognostications. And Jade puts the title on the line against Kris Statlander. And Jade immediately misses a pump kick. And there's a running boot in the corner by Kris. And then Jade gets lifted. She stops, lands the pump kick, but then Jaded gets blocked. And Kris Statlander hits her with now the renamed Sunday Night Fever, pinning Jade in 49 seconds. And huge pop for the title change, the surprise loss, the first loss for Jade Cargill, and now our second TBS champion. So this was certainly a debated booking choice. In the arena, I imagine this was one of the highlights of the show. And quite honestly, with an undercard that we've just gone through, I thought like this was one of the bigger moments on the entire show, because this had not been the most overwhelming show up until this point. Yeah. I also think it instantly creates a program for Jade and a certain rematch that you get out of it. But I can also see the idea that building up to this streak ending, was this the best way to do it, unannounced and a surprise? And I guess time will tell if this was the way to do it or not.
I think it's kind of interesting. We're talking about this after like Asuka versus Belair, which is very much like a surprise sort of a finish as well. But while I liked Asuka versus Belair, and because I think it sets up a new direction for Belair, and I hated this. I thought this was the wrong way of doing this. they did the WrestleMania 9 finish, with Hogan, Yoko. And I think it's really bad to have your babyface win this way. She didn't earn this at all. She's facing somebody who's already weakened. It had no logic back in WrestleMania 9 why Fuji would, ultimately like just let Hulk Hogan challenge Yokozuna for a championship after going through that match. And it made no sense here why Sterling would put up this title against Jade Cargill after this match. I mean, she's done it in the past, I suppose, with like squash matches, but not after like hard fought matches. It found the logic I thought was missing. I thought there needed to be a better reason for Jade to offer the match. But I was more so disappointed at how you positioned Statlander as somebody who just basically kind of like snuck their way in. It's similar to like a Money in the Bank briefcase surprise cash in, but for a babyface. And I don't think those ever work out well. So instead of like giving us this big earned moment for Statlander finally conquering Jade's streak, it just kind of happened.
Yeah, and I think like it's hard to like. This certainly got over with the crowd, but so
it always does.
All of those cash-ins as well. So I mean, time will tell here. But and number one, I think Jade ending up as a babyface at some point is inevitable. There's many who take to her like that anyway. But even if this sets up Jade into a babyface role, I would not like Kris Statlander. To me, her return, like this is someone that is very over with your crowd. I would not want to have her playing heel coming out of this either. I think that's a wasted return for her. So we will see where this goes, but I can certainly see the argument against it. I guess I didn't have a strong opinion either way.
It's just a shame because they had 60 matches, to build Jade Cargill up to the point where you'd want that win to really feel special. And I think just maybe like in their promotion and their handling of saying Kris Statlander is the one to finally give Jade Cargill her first loss. This is great for Kris Statlander. If they push her strong, then she will get over. But I just felt like this moment, this start should have been a lot more earned from her. Should not have been in this fashion.
Do you think it is rectified at all if they do like the rematch and this is like a main event on television that they can build it up?
Yeah, I think that would help. Although like a lot of the drama would be lost, like think of those great near falls that you would have had in like a full on match, with Kris Statlander fighting from behind and everything. You kind of lose it all.
Post Wrestling and Poison Rana, we are teaming up.
The Forbidden Pour, Post Wrestling and Poison Rana. The same day, if for anyone traveling in for Forbidden Door, we will be literally steps away from the Scotiabank Arena. It is right next door. It is attached to the arena. We're going to have a pre-party. John and Wei, you guys are going to do a podcast before the show, but it's afterwards that the after party is where things are really going to kick off because we're going to do some wrestling karaoke.
And it's already been promised that a Mr. John Pollock is going to sing All In by Downstate.
Yeah, he agreed. It was in the contract. We've been throwing a few parties before, but nothing this big, nothing this huge. This is our double or nothing, really. And we're so excited. This is going to be a blast. If you're thinking about Forbidden Door weekend, now is your chance because tickets are available now, aren't they, Wei?
Yes, they are right now. Postwrestling.com/live. I'm super excited.